How's everybody doing today? It's Wednesday, June 7th, and I'm here getting ready to move my horses to their new space coming up very soon. And I can only imagine moving 5 horses and the whole, like not just moving me and my hundreds of oils, but like moving, like getting the horses, all their tack, all their things. And they're in different barns. And I have a friend storing some of my stuff. So today, it's not surprising that maybe I have a little like getting a feeling of overwhelm. Have you guys ever felt overwhelmed? Right? I think everyone here can say that, you feel overwhelmed by certain things. And so when you feel that feeling of overwhelm, what do you do? What's the thing that you do? What are some things that you do? If you're watching, make sure you feel free to throw it in the chat. So it's really important that you understand when you start feeling those feelings. Number one, that you're aware of them. But number two, what do you do? What's your protocol for when you feel the feeling of overwhelm? Do you just call your friends and go, I'm overwhelmed, which is good because then you can have like this interaction with them they might go, hey, wait a minute, I can help get you out of this feeling of overwhelm. But one of the things that we do with the horses is we say isolate, separate, and then recombine. So isolate the one big thing that's causing you the most amount of pain. That would be my first thing to tell you. And then the second thing to tell you would be to just get still for a minute. Just for a minute. It doesn't have to be for very long. It can be like 15 minutes. But to put yourself in a position to where when you are looking around and like, oh my God, my list is this and everything's going crazy and I've like so many things happening. Oh my God, the move, the horses, this one's in this barn. I got all this stuff, then I got a new thing. And then, I just got another $250 thing for this. And like all of these things coming at you at once. It's like if you don't process them, you will not get through them. If you don't process them, if you don't got them, it'd be like trying to get to the long line of math equations. So you'd be like, what's 2 times 4? What's 17 minus 42? What's the square root of 78? You get all these numbers and you're like, whoa, hang on. And if you don't go back and get that first equation, that thing that was actually causing you pain, causing you to feel the way you don't want to feel, and we talk about that all the time, right? Are you feeling the way that you want to feel right now? And that is what you do. That's the first thing I'll tell you. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, throw me a little heart. Tell me that you're like, yes, I feel the feeling of overwhelm. And see, instead of saying I am overwhelmed, I say I'm feeling the feeling of overwhelm. Because, sometimes you're mad and sometimes you're happy, but you're not either or all the time, right? There are moments that you say. So you can talk about it as a feeling. You can look at it as something that passes through you, like an emotion, right? Not to be confused with email or any of those other things, but emotion, it'll flow through you. So I'm feeling the feeling of overwhelm. Okay, I've acknowledged consciously that that's the way I'm feeling, and I want to feel something different. So first thing you have to do is stop just for a minute, even if it's just for 15 minutes, and just allow your brain to settle and get still. Because if all of these numbers or tasks or people's demands or a lot of pressure in the moment, like we're on a schedule and a timeline and the animals need to be fed and all that, and then, guess what? You start attracting more things you have to do. You start making a list, you start scrolling, doesn't it? You get to the grocery store and you go in for carrots and apples, and then you end up with like some oranges and bananas and some cookies and ice cream, and you're like, it's like going to Target. Don't go to Target without a list that you stick to, because the list starts to grow. Same thing happens in our minds. Same exact thing happens in our minds. So you're like, oh, God, I gotta go get the car's oil change. Oh, shoot. Maybe I have them check the tires too while I'm at it. Oh, man, when I did the tires last time, they told me it was out of balance and I probably need to get new brakes. Damn. Maybe I should just sell the car. Gosh, I'm wondering, maybe now we're going to have more problems with it. That means I'm going to have to go to the dealership and see how you just went down this crazy rabbit hole. It happens, right? We all get there. We all feel that from time to time. So first thing you do is just take a deep breath and be still for a minute. And really just get clear and say, wait a second, if this doesn't happen, unless you're, an EMT and somebody's bleeding out with the jugular or something, if this doesn't happen right now in the next 15 minutes, am I going to be okay? That's the big piece I want you to really, really get from this. If I don't do this in the next 15 minutes and give myself a chance to just take a few deep breaths and allow my brain to settle, is something bad going to happen? Of course not. Of course not. You can find a place to get 15 minutes to just say, shh, everything's okay. Right? Put your phone down, get away from your devices for a minute and just be still. And then not, okay, well, now what? Now I know what task I need to attack first. No, go back, because we're trying to release the feeling of feeling overwhelmed, right? So if you pull a tooth, you got to replace it, or the gap is going to fill somehow. Same thing with your emotions. You release the feeling of, you allow to flow through the feeling of overwhelm. Then you got to decide, what would I like to replace it with? Now, if you're feeling really overwhelmed and that's a habit you have and you're really good at it, like my one horse Bella is really good at getting worried about going on circles, right? And when you look at that and you go, this is a really ingrained pattern, I'm going to have to be a little bit more mindful about how big of a jump I'm going to be able to make to what I would rather feel. So if overwhelm is something you feel every day and you have for years and you keep telling yourself and believing it and feeling it and thinking it and feeling it, oh God, I'm so overwhelmed, and like 6 kids and 20 horses and if that's kind of you got a lot of energy, that train's moving pretty fast, right? So you might not be able to go from overwhelmed to totally tranquil. Know what to do, so much time and so little to do, right? You may not be able to make that big of a leap. Now you might, if you're skilled and you're diligent, because what you have to do once you decide what you would rather feel than the negative feeling, overwhelmed in this instance, is that you have to keep that in an alignment, 10 and 2, baby. Because feeling overwhelmed is easy. It's second nature to you. You do it all the time, every day. I'm like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. Got so much to do. Oh my God, it's 7:00 already. Dinner. Right? If that's your habit, if that's where your go-to, then you're going to have to pull the car out of the rut, right? Out of the pathways that you've created for yourself. We do the same thing with the horses. And with the horses, we call ride every stride. So you want the horse. Are they out of the rut? Are they doing the right pattern? Are they keeping the trot? Are they keeping the trot? Are they keeping the faith? Are they keeping the faith? Or are they falling back into doubt? Right. And so that awareness, especially in the beginning, kind of like when I walked across Kohl's at the Tony Robbins event, he has this phrase that he says to keep your mind occupied in a way that doesn't allow it to focus on the hot coals on your feet. This is the same concept. So to put into your mind, right? Put into your mind, this is how I want to feel. So it's no longer overwhelmed. It's an upgrade from that. Say, how about in control of my day? I don't know. You decide. You decide how you want to feel, like Pretty Woman. And I decide who and I decide when, right? It's you decide. Now, it's interestingly enough that this topic comes up because that's how I'm feeling today. I got a lot going on with the move and planning the weekends and putting events together and getting all of the little I's dotted and T's crossed. There's a lot more to this than I ever anticipated, right? And so it's like coming at me. What's 2 plus 2? What's 47 minus 38? What's 38, square root of, 4.4, right? It's like, oh my God. So hang on, get still. I know how to do this. But it happens to all of us, and it's not personal, it's universal. And you have some really great tools that you can take towards it. And being around the horses requires that you are in a space of presence, living in the moment, taking in the now. And when you do that, all of these other things about what I should be doing this year, next year. I mean, dude, I don't even know what's going to happen with me in the next hour. I live my life so fast. Like things happen so fast in my world, right? Moving the horses and doing the things and getting the property and doing this thing, like boom, 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 boom. So I have to be really careful. The faster the momentum, the more alignment you need to have so you don't veer off into some, overwhelm or disaster or depression. Like you got to really be mindful. So those are the 3 things you have to do. and you're feeling the feeling of overwhelm, or frankly, any negative emotion, overwhelm specifically. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, this is what I want you to do. I want you to, first off, once you acknowledge it. And the easiest way to acknowledge it is to, when you look around, you're like, crap. Right? Like what is the trigger that tells you that you're feeling overwhelmed? What is it? Right? So like, I know when I look around at my apartment where I'm getting ready to move from, I know when I look around at my apartment and it looks cluttered to me, I'm like, that's my very first trigger, because I like a tidy space. I like things, obviously, very organized. So, and I have a hard time working if things are cluttered or like are piled up. Like maybe they say a messy office is the sign of genius or something. Yeah, great. Not for this girl. I love to like be organized. So when I see that things are not organized, I'm like, immediately I feel that I start to feel a little that feeling of overwhelm. I'm like, okay, take a step back. So first off, you have to like, what is the trigger? What is the trigger that sets you down that rabbit hole? Because the minute you go there, all its buddies start to come with it. Hey, I got a good reason for you to feel overwhelmed. You got 4 kids. Oh, hey, I got a good reason for you to feel overwhelmed. You're behind on your student loan payments, right? Whatever it is, those things pulling at you negatively, and they start like jumping on like crabs trying to get out of a bucket, right? They start climbing on top of each other, and you're like, whoa, this is getting heavy. And when it starts to get heavy, you're right, you start getting tired. At the end of the day, you're like, oh God, how is it 8 o'clock already? And I still haven't even started dinner, right? Oh, I haven't even started that project that's due tomorrow, or whatever it is. Or my kids still need baths, right? So think about that. What's the trigger that you look around and go, And maybe when it may be, and if it's a different emotion besides overwhelm, maybe it's when you wake up in the morning. I don't know. But get yourself in a space where you can recognize what those little triggers are. I know that when I stay in bed too long, if I don't like wake up and give myself maybe 2 or 3 minutes to just sort of like stretch and luxuriate as I wake up. If I don't get out of bed pretty quick and get my day rolling, and I don't like hop out of bed like this, well, not, I do some days, but not all days. Most days I kind of just kind of move and groove into my day and let it just build that momentum, like a plane getting ready to take off. And by that, by the afternoon, right? You get the idea? So that's what I want you to think about. Catch the emotion, right? Aware of it, and then decide, and then get still. 15 minutes is all it takes. There's a million things on YouTube, Spotify, wherever, or just be silent. No devices, no nothing. Just put on a timer for 15 minutes, 20 minutes if you have, or if that's not enough, but really about 15 minutes should do it. And give yourself permission to just be still. And then decide how you would like to feel instead. What emotion would you prefer to be feeling than what you were feeling 15 minutes ago? And incidentally, when you allow things to settle, that emotion will be more available to you because you're not in this like crazy, chaotically, state. Make sense? So getting still and allowing yourself to be in that space. And it's in this space that if you come and visit me, we'll go see the horses. Because that chaotic energy, like when you first show up and like, oh, the barn, the horses and everything, the horses are like, oh no, you're giving me a sunburn, right? So you're kind of you got to see like where your vibration is and how you're feeling, what your emotions you're feeling. Because the only thing we do anything or take any kind of action is to get us either in more alignment or to create like a vision of what we don't want. So just be mindful. And when you start feeling that way, you're like, oh, okay, I feel more peaceful. So maybe you went from or overwhelmed to peaceful or calm. And all right, now I'm feeling calm. Now throughout the rest of the day, make sure that you're reminding yourself, like, is she still trotting? Is she still trotting? Is she still trotting? Right? Am I still feeling calm? Am I still feeling calm? And I'm still feeling calm. And I'll even put on back in the day when it was like it was really hard for me. I wrote the word stop on my hand. and I would in magic marker, and I would look at it anytime I started like get the monkeys in my brain were start running around. This was like this was almost 10 years ago, you guys. So, and I still use that technique today. And I don't need to write it on my hand anymore. I can just look at my hand because it's such an anchor. And I go, nope, stop. This is an emotion I would like to release. Notice how I'm not using the word not as very much because the universe doesn't understand negatives, right? They don't understand not, you know, I'm not, I don't want to be fat. The universe is going to go, you want to be fat? No, I don't want to be fat. It's kind of like Bart Simpson. You said you want to be fat? No, I said I don't. I don't understand. Well, I don't. Okay, so you don't want to be fat. Well, what do you want? Right. So getting really in alignment with what you do want and how you do want to feel, using only forward flowing and forward momentum language. It's really a hard exercise when you first start, but it kind of gets fun and then when you start getting really good at it, like I've been practicing it a lot lately, and I'm like, dude, this is so much fun. When I hear other people, I'm like, well, what do you want for Christmas? Well, I'll tell you what I don't want. I don't want to have to walk into the Publix grocery store hearing those bell dingers. Okay. Well, that's something you don't want. Let me ask the question again. What do you want? Well, I'll tell you what I don't want. You get down in that rabbit hole and you don't even realize that you're doing it. Where would you like to go on a vacation? Well, the last time we went on vacation, and you'll tell a story about something that happened on your trip that makes you not want to go back to wherever it was. I'm like, okay, well, that's, what if when you say, well, where would you like to go on vacation? Oh my God, I've always wanted to go to Greece, right? Big difference. Be mindful. Think about how your language is shaping you positively. And when you decide that you're going to feel peaceful or calm rather than overwhelmed, 10 and 2, baby. 10 and 2. And set a timer at the beginning. I would say stop. I would interrupt the pattern. And I would go through a process to where this is where I want to feel. And I would stay there for 15 minutes. And then I would set a timer for about every hour. Because you slip back into negative feelings. You don't even realize you're doing it. And it's always just getting a little better and a little better. And the more awareness you have. And that is something I learned from my horses, and especially rescued horses, because they are so hyper in the moment because something, some form of neglect, they've had some kind of trauma, right? So their brains work a little differently than horses that have had a beautiful life and, big green pastures and people loving on them, just like us. Horses are a pure reflection of mankind, globally and spiritually. I've never seen anything like it. People can say, oh, it's your dog or a dolphin or a goldfish or my fern or my cat, whatever. There's nothing that mirrors. Now, we compliment dogs and we compliment cats, but they're predators like we are. Canine teeth, right? We eat meat. Some people eat horses. So the dichotomy between the horse and the human is a pure mirror and the reflection. And they're giving back to you what you're putting out to them. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, they're not going to want you on their back. I'll tell you that much. I've seen some really not so awesome things happen when I see someone that's frustrated or irritated or in a bad state, get on the horse. And, God bless the nature of horses because they have, yeah, there you go, Liz. Yeah. So God bless the nature of horses because they have such an unbelievable benevolence about them. And they are so in alignment in a theta brainwave state. They're not thinking about the bills that they don't have the money for next month. They're in the present moment. And the more we can be there, decide how we want to feel, give ourselves the space and the grace to settle our brains when things start getting out of control. And then 10 and 2, really keeping that awareness to where you're aligned, you'll be able to ride every stride and experience life and my horses, if you'd like to come, totally differently. And if you do choose to come to see me, I'm actually opening up this summer and this fall for retreats. You will never look at horses the same ever again. And frankly, you'll probably know more about horses than a lot of people that own them after an experience with these guys. They're trained in such an incredible way to give you a piece of life, a piece of a glimpse into the center of your soul, and an open-heartedness and a benevolence and a just purity that will allow you to connect to the divine. My friend Liz, who was on my Instagram live, just said it. She told me not too long ago. We had a really beautiful conversation. It's like, what are horses? They're a conduit. They're a lightning rod to the divine. They'll allow you to just relax that part of your brain that's creating all this angst and cortisol and chaos in your life, and just feel still and peaceful, or even for just a moment. Because when you have that one moment, you'll know what's possible. And when you have that kind of carnal knowledge, you'll realize that anything is possible. And you can make the choices about how you want to feel. And you will be able to have the opportunity to create your days and your existence however you want to. And who knew that a 1,200-pound animal that doesn't even speak English could give you that gift? That's the messages I want to give to everyone here. It's fun. It's playful. Sure. The horses are amazing, and we'll feed them carrots and love on them like crazy. This is for you. This information that I'm sharing with you is decades of experience. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have invested into this, and tens of thousands of hours and decades of experience, and pulling all of these things together in a way that I can put them in a beautiful package and allow source to shine through me and share these animals with you. And I can't think of a better way. I would rather spend my time than being outside in nature, with nature in its finest form, in horses, being out and having an experience like this, so I can understand that I don't have to feel overwhelmed. I don't have to be in a hurry. When you get around me and the horses, I'm not in a hurry, man. We just go. And you're like, I've played outside all day tired. It's a different kind of feeling. And it's one of the most beautiful things. You'll sleep better. You'll be able to communicate better with your family and your loved ones, your coworkers, and yourself and source. I mean, I can't imagine anything more beautiful than that. And that's what I've created. So I hope that you get the message that I got about overwhelm, because I don't like being overwhelmed any more than you guys do. And I hope that someday you join me at one of my retreats or one of my experiences with the horses, and just reach out to me if you'd like to chat or find out more information. Have an amazing day, y'all. I hope I can serve each and every one of you that are divinely attracted to my space. And remember to believe in yourself. It will change your life. Have a blessed day. Bye.